10 Tips Vienna. Vienna, the capital of Austria, is one of the most visited cities in Europe. It owes its charm to its rich historical background and exceptional geographical location. For centuries, the capital was the gateway between Western and Eastern Europe and the birthplace of the once powerful Habsburg dynasty. Today, Vienna is always at the top of the list of livable cities in the world. It clearly shows the charm, atmosphere and great architecture of the city. Therefore, I recommend you to explore the city slowly and without hurry. The small Viennese cafes that can be found on almost every street are just one of the experiences that appeal to both the palate and the eye and must be experienced. Vienna, the capital of Austria and the most populous city, is the political, cultural and economic center of the country. Vienna, which has a multifaceted culture, is a major European city, where museums, art, history, entertainment, sports, moreover, a suitable activity for everyone, many architectural and imperial buildings of the Habsburg dynasty and a lot of green areas. The magnificent buildings once housed the greatest musicians in Europe such as Mozart, Beethoven, Schubert, Haydn, Strauss. This is already enough to make Vienna the world capital of classical music. The capital is also home to world-famous orchestras and outstanding art collections. 10 Sights. Vienna is a great city that is quite impressive with its sights. Although I've had the opportunity to visit the capital a few times so far, I've never had enough time to see the city to its fullest. This is because wherever you look, there are historic buildings and magnificent monuments that impress with their magnificence. Even the museum area alone deserves to spend a day comfortably, and every time I go there, I could not stop visiting its wonderful museums. That's why the list of sites made in lists is important for those with limited time. I have compiled the list so that you can travel clearly on foot. Ringstrasse. Ringstrasse is a street that was created when the city walls, which the Ottomans could not pass in 1683, were demolished in 1850 and transformed into a wide street. The 5-kilometer-long street that circles the city center was built by Emperor Franz Joseph. I recommend you spend some of your time in the buildings that adorn this street. The majestic City Hall, the University, one of the oldest universities, the Imperial Hotel, whose guests include famous names such as Queen Elizabeth II, Charlie Chaplin, on whose construction the young Hitler is said to have worked, the Opera House, the famous Post Office Building, Post Office Savings Bank and the Parliament Building are very important buildings of the city and are located on the Ring Road. Schönbrunn Palace and Gardens. Schönbrunn Palace is one of the most magnificent architectures of the 18th century. It was built between 1696 and 1712 by order of Emperor Leopold I. It was converted into an imperial summer residence by Empress Maria Theresa, who personally ruled the Habsburg state between 1744 and 1749. It is a must on the list of places to visit. The palace is the most beautiful example of Baroque architecture and a huge place with 1441 rooms. Its garden houses the Privy Garden, the oldest zoo in the world, a labyrinth and a 60-meter-high marble house called Gloriette. Spectacular Zoo. The Vienna Zoo, Tiergarten Schönbrunn, is one of the most visited places in the city and is located in Schönbrunn Palace. Its history dates back to the opening by Emperor Franz in 1752, making it the oldest zoo in the world. In the garden you will have the opportunity to see animals such as panda, koala, polar bear, orangutan and lion. See the incredibly interesting creatures, especially in the rainforest house and aquarium. Stephans Square. Stephans Square, located in the middle of the city, coincides with the balance point when you draw a circle around the city. It is the most popular square in the city, surrounded by cute cafes, pubs, bars and luxury and souvenir stores. Start your tour of downtown Vienna here. Always full of Viennese and tourists, Stephans Square is also the beginning of Kärntnerstrasse, one of the most famous streets in the city. Adjacent to it is the Graben with the Plague Monument. Stephans Square, where you can find the store United Chocolates, the address of delicious chocolates, and many nice places like Café Hawelka, is also the common stop of the lines U3 and U1 of the Vienna subway. Graben. Graben is the most beautiful shopping street in the capital. St. Stephans Cathedral and Vienna State Opera, the short but very busy street houses the most elegant buildings in the capital. On the street there are many famous cafes, pastry shops and gourmet markets, where you can find all the international brands. St. Stephans Cathedral. St. Stephen's Cathedral, Domkirche Street Stephan, is the landmark of the capital and one of the most important symbols of the Christian world. The church on St. Stephan's Square has a Romanesque Gothic architectural style. It is used as the main church of the diocese and the residence of the Archbishop. As a Romanesque church, it was built in 1365 by Duke IV of Austria. It was built by Rudolf, but rebuilt in the 13th century. The huge entrance gate and the heath towers remained from this change. The next change was in the 14th century in the Gothic style, and in addition to the cathedral, the church choir and Eligius, St. Turner and St. Catherine chapels were added. The famous 137-meter-high southern tower Stephel dates from the 15th century. St. Peter's Church. St. Peter's Church is located on the site where a Romanesque church similar to its counterpart in Rome was built and found in 792 by Charlemagne. Today it dates from the 18th century and has a huge dome and beautiful frescoes. Another highlight is the Barbara Chapel with its magnificent entrance. The chapel also has a striking altar and a painting called Perfect Concept. In addition, the 21-meter plague column stands as a monument to the 1679 plague that killed more than 75,000 people. The Scottish abbey right next to it was built in the 12th century and has been growing ever since. Among those educated at the monastery are names such as Johann Strauss and the last emperor of Austria, Charles I. The artwork inside ranges from the 16th to the 19th century. Hofburg Palace. The Hofburg has been the seat of the Habsburgs for 600 years and has also been the residence of all Austrian monarchs and presidents since 1275. The palace, where Marie Antoinette, one of the French queens, was born, was built in 1654. It was home to many important members and dynasties of the Austro-Hungarian monarchy, especially the Habsburgs. The Hofburg was mainly used as a winter residence, while Schönbrunn Palace was preferred as a summer residence. Many parts of the palace were built in different centuries by different kingdoms. The palace bears traces of all the Gothic, Renaissance, Baroque and Rococo movements. Today it serves as a museum and is also used as the residence of the Austrian president. Vienna City Hall. You can visit the City Hall, where both the city administration and the capital are governed, and take pictures of this very important place for the city. Restaurants with many dishes from different regions are also nearby. And this is probably one of the best places you can visit at Christmas time. I once came across a film screening. The huge Schmidt Hall entrance, where horse-drawn carriages once came and unloaded their passengers, and the two huge staircases leading to the boardroom are the most striking parts of the building. Other attractions include the heraldic chambers, the city senate chamber and the governor's reception chamber. State Opera House. The State Opera House is one of the largest and most extraordinary theaters in the world. A very impressive building built in 1869, it has all the characteristics of French Renaissance architecture. Famous for its culture and art, especially with its concerts and operas, the Opera House is a place where sculptures of important names such as Mozart, Beethoven and Schubert fascinate all art lovers with their eye-catching performances. Entering the Opera House, which is one of the sites for art lovers in the capital, a huge staircase leading to the second floor and the tea room, which impresses with its incredible wall engravings, are the first places visited by visitors. The hall, with 2,211 spectators and 110 musicians, is also the venue of the Philharmonic Orchestra.